Alright, Chapter 10, Stores and Contracts. Store Depot 1001. Store Depot with a track machine with a different type of models equipped with a complex with a mechanical, hydraulic, with a pneumatic, electrical, with an electronic system, and have with a very large number of spare parts. Attached, well-organized store depot with a nice service to move the function zone. Machine depot with a satellite depot as desired with a heavy web-based storage management system. So, at one zonal store depot shall be under the charge of the senior service engineer and track maintenance of the zonal depot inspection and system with the DSK. A store clerk of the zonal depot shall be maintained with the depot of the stock with the consumable spare with the units. Some of the diesel is generally arranged with the managed by the division. Store depot attached with the satellite depot should be under the charge of the senior service engineer, track machines, satellite installation assisted. Store clerk with the shall be stocking with the essential part of the consumable, the adequate inventory of items which shall be available to the satellite depot for the 1 month of the consumption with the carry out of the various machine schedules of machine work under jurisdiction of the satellite depot, above the critical emergency spare with the engine tamping with the heavy machining items. Various machines also important with the expeditious attention of the machine with the scarce valve over the satellite depot shall be fixed with its own railway, taking into consideration geographical location advancing with the transportation zone machine depot. Camping coaching, each machine shall have the stock of the consumable required for the day-to-day maintenance of the machine. 1002, inventory for the control price of items for the consumption. Senior service engineer of zonal depot inspection shall maintain record over the spare with the consumable procedure for the different with the machine's normal assumption consumption. With the senior service injector of the zonal depot inspection shall maintain close liaison with the senior service junior and engineer zonal depot with the DSK with the ensure that the racing with the material is done with the correctly for the price for the provides to keep out with the current from time to time, keep them current from time to time with the ensure the cost consciousness on the part of the supervisor upon the operationalization of all model with the TMS of the rate shall be updated automatically with the procurement model module. Estimated annual requirements for the stock position consumption trends and the estimated annual requirements shall be reviewed periodically. The assistant engineer director of the engineer zonal depot estimated annual requirements should be reviewed regularly. Fast-moving items are spare consumable which are the required issue frequently at the item reissue requiring issue more than once a week with the zone maintenance depot. Regularly in the last 6-month period can be determined in a fast-moving. The last fast-moving spare shall be prepared by officer within the charge of the zone depot as per following performer. Alright, the month of review of the consumption is that fast-moving items should be done with the zonal depot level of senior service engineer track machine zonal depot shall be maintained with the record with the stock division materials affected with the day-to-day material of the record will help with the officer change and pinpoint the items deal with the priority and active items. Dead storage items should be segregated with the items which are not all required with the foreseeable future for the obsolescence chain with the design, etc. Such items circulated with the other zonal railways choice were kept on the web-based for software with the surplus list for the period of 1 year. In this case, if there are no takers for these items should be put up before survey committee and suitability disposed of following the precautions of the store code of the items and the damage of the storage handling, etc. shall also be surveyed. Suitability of the disposed of according to the recommendations of the survey committee as provision of the store code. Items that were not likely to require a new feature of the railway shall be offered for the other railway central periodic overhaul workshop. Every endeavor should be made with the assistant engineer and the director engineer to utilize the existing stock and make suitable modification to the extent possible. 5. Control over consumption. Officer in charge of the zonal depot should identify a list of the specific items that over the required for the periodic maintenance schedule of the replacement of the machine in charge of the will seek with approval of the engineer of the satellite depot depending on under the control of the machines required for the personal check of the items before authorization and replacement. Alright, 6. Recoupment of stock. The action requirement recoupment of the item shall be initiated with the keeping of the wire view of the lead over the period as to have 1 year of the requirements in stock with whenever the procurement action is initiated following shall be ensured that the estimated of the annual requirement is worked out based on the past 3 years consumption of the items of the which last 3 years consumption is not available. The manufacturer recommendation date of the railways considered with the figure of the average annual consumption. B. The subsequent design chain of the modification done since the time of the last review of the non-obsolescence of the product as a result of the selective procurement possibility of the time of financial stringency and based on the realistic technical appreciation of the requirements. D, for the priority items for the necessary priority article with the certificate of the duly signaling for the component authority shall accompany with these indents. Whenever the required for the indent for this shall be accompanied with a detailed specification drawing list for the firms of the duly approved and competent authority. 1003. Procurement and consumable components of the spare of the purchase power of the office of the engineer department dealing with the track machine headquarters with the wells with the general satellite depot that have with all the power of the procure with the spare with the consumable small tools to meet the requirements for the track machines available to the office of the storage department with the corresponding post over the PCE with equivalent to the COS with the CTE. CE over TM, the equivalent CMM, deputy with the senior chief of the engineer, with equivalent with the deputy with the COS and assistant executive engineering traction purchase rules. All rules procedures laid down with the procurement of the store depot filed with the engineering department exercise with the powers of subparagraph A above with the tendering committee whenever the necessary may be the council with the engineering officer with the appropriate level of the mayor, other members of the finance stores as per schedule with the power of the delegated with its own railways. Impress available, the track machine available that must be utilized for the procurement and spare with the consumables of the small tools meet specification requirement of track machines. 1004 source for components to spare with the procurement received with the zone with the railway shall decide the source for the procurement for the among the following. Office of Equipment and Management of the authorized representative of the priority article certificate or PAC with the duly assigned with the component authority with the shall accompany with the incident with the K with the contract with the engine with the number of items of the single source sufficiently large, simple to expedite with the procurement process for the rate with the contract may be the engine for the pattern with the DSGG SND rate contract list item along with the unit rate with no quality. However, the will is required to indicate again for the each item and the procurement against for the raise for the contract with the may be done period of 2-3 years specifying annual financial ceiling. 2 original item of the component manufacturer's high repute over the industry for these component manufacturers have one of the following established reputation for the industry. They include for them rates for the office of the equipment management score for the supply of the machine, supplier, legs, bearings for the unit components, light pumps. For example, such items, unit components of the procurement over the may have be done either by limited attentive that may over the source of the proprietary article certificate. Is only one source of the due care is establishing compatibility with the item component shall be expressed. 3. DGS&D rate contractor. Officer of the track machine operation senior scale and above shall be designated with a direct demand officer for this so they can directly place order the items available to DGS&D rate contract. Indigenous sources following procedures shall be adopted. Zone rail shall classify the spare with the required of the various groups based on the commonality of the manufacturing process or source of supply. The groups are formed broadly as given the mill steel components, alloy steel, heat treat with the ground components, gray iron, cast iron, alloy, casting, engineering filters, other components, hydraulic filters, hydraulic hoses, pneumatic hoses, seals, O-rings, conveyor belts, conveyor chains, hydraulic cylinders, hydraulic pumps, motors, valves, hydraulic components, printed circuit boards, bearings, tampering tool balls, tampering unit components, excavating chain with the oil, lubrication for the nuts, bolts, fasteners, and other consumables. Identifies who have the local sources for the available shall be identified with the specifications drawing that shall be got issued with the research design standard workers office. Railway shall maintain the list of all of the approved of the officer for the various of the groups of the important of the indigenous spare shall normally procure from the list of the approved supply with the first list shall be uploaded on the website for the information of other railways. Railways shall have periodic carry out of the warrants view with the above with the supply of the various groups of the take action update with the end same with the same performance reports that also been made available on the website along with the other details like purchase order etc. during the stage of development of the train new indigenous item or case the issue of the quality supply of the procurement will be reverted for the processing for the equipment management. The idea is to avoid the idling of the costing machines. Art 105, inspection and acceptance of the material. Inspection and acceptance of the material shall be done with a nominated official of the track maintenance organization specified within the contract. 106, the models of the procurement and repair of the machine. Cast and press of the RS 55 million 5. It's off. More shall provide with the officer in charge of the General Depot emergency repairs purchase for the essential that include consumable tool plans for the machinery for the day-to-day operation of the machine. Should ensure the costly of the machine shall not idle for the small amounts. Cash and prep for the 2 million or more shall provide with the officer for the charge of the Satellite Depot in charge of the fleet of the machine for the emergency repairs purchase for the essential car source, including consumable tool plans for the machine for the day-to-day operation machine with the object for the ensure for the cost machine that has not idle the small object amounts. The cash impress of $5 million has provided with the officer in charge of the rail grinding machine with the emergency purchase of the essential store with the consumable day-to-day repair with the tool plants and machinery. Cash impress available should be reviewed with the zone railways every 3 years. Emergency repair purchase in addition with the cash impress with the officer dealing with the track machines should be delegated the financial powers of the emergency repair with the purchase and spare of the tool plants with the consumable to meet the emergent requirements of the general manager, fully authorized, delegated with the powers of the division, such for the powers to be incorporated with the standard operation procedure with the zone railways. Annual maintenance contract, the AMC, for the proper uncompleted maintenance of the track machine, also for the troubleshooting and attending for the breakdowns, if it is able to enter the annual maintenance contract with the office equipment with the authorized agent and single the tender to base of the annual maintenance contract can be with the complete machine with the important unit with the complete like engine for the annual maintenance contract, but also be invited with the open market with the depending on availability, the agency available with the necessary expertise with the office equipment, management authorized agent with not willing to come forward with a performance non-satisfactory open tenders may be called for the annual maintenance contract for the open market approval of approved firms financial from the annual manual contract is defined by the chain operation procedure for the zone railways machine with the annual maintenance contract into which no firms come with a forward contract with special repairs may be entered into. Contracts other than the annual maintenance contract plan repaired for the overhauling engine, overhauling tamping banks, reconditioning tamping tools, reconditioning tool arms, painting of the machine with the repair with the floor cabinet with the extension wiring modification, cam coaches modification of the BRNs. Such other works are not covered for the annual maintenance of the contract to be carried out with the lines of the contract under the revenue, other heads of the applicable. 107 of the condemnation of the track machine was condemned after the completing with the total useful life of the following procedure shall be adopted. Executive in charge of the track machine, deputy chief of the engineer, executive engineer will prepare a detailed report with the condition of the track machine sent to the zone railway headquarters. The report must contain the following information: introduction, brief history, major defects recorded, probable cost, rehabilitation, present output with the effect of the hour of the work and the quality of the work, items proposed to take out of the spares, financial justification, replacement, reconditioning, or abandonment in the terms of Annexure G, paragraph 240, Financial Code, Volume 1. In case the machine has not been completed in total life, H recommendations. Committee of the 3 SAG officers of the zone railways and 1 each for the engineer, financing, electrical engineer will examine the report for the final life of the recommendation made chief of the items of the inspect the machine if necessary with the nominate with the officer of the committee may be done with the form of the standing with the committee on the zonal railways. Recommendation of the SAG officer of the committee will be forwarded to the railway board duly operated with the PCE when the CE coordination with the after the railway board. Railway will be advised with the condemning of the machine right back of the capital cost of the machine. 1008. You have the total life of the periodic overhaul and the intermediate overhaul frequency. Total life of the different type of the machine frequency. Periodic overhaul, intermediate overhaul shall be as follows. Alright, 109. Calculation unit cost with working with a different chart with the following precautions. The trouble adapt with the working unit with the cost machine with the capital recovered cost with the unit with the working should be calculated with the capital recovered cost with the interest rate with the 12% with the table of the annex received with the Indian Railway Financial Code with the 1982 edition. The capital recovery factor for the job depends on the total life of the capital life of the machine. Capital recovery factor values 15, 20, 25 years total life with and then 0.4, 0.13, 0.12. Respectively, considering interest rate of 12% of the total life of the machine. With the total life of the machine, in terms of the number of the year for the effect of the working with the periodic overall frequency stipulated in the paragraph 1008. Portion of the periodic and intermediate overall cost with the intermediate overall frequency with the machine is at 2,000 ERH, as well with the intermediate overhaul of the plan with the between the periodic overhaul calculating unit cost causing the CSM that is shown with the example of the 2 periodic overhaul have been considered 800,000, 8,000 and 14,000 hours and 7 intermediate hours. Intermediate have been considered the 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 10,000, 12,000, 6,000 ERH per annum proportional periodic overall immediate over the call cost worked out with each for the equal distribution total cost over the life of the machine taken 20 years. Fixed variable cost of the unit, the cost of the machine cost shall compromise two components, namely fixed cost with the variable cost with the fixed cost compromise the capital recovery factor with the staff of the cost with the variable cost with the compromise the proportional distributed with the periodic overall intermediate overall expenditure and the actual expenditure that was paid with the consumable expenditure with the periodic overhaul with the independent overall. Intermediate overhaul shall be considered based on an average past figure with a similar advantage machine with a way fixed with the cost of the calculated with the during base of the per day with the part thereof the variable cost shall be worked out on the base for the actual work done with the respective units like CMS and numbers for the turnouts, working out approval of the unit cost for the unit cost, working with a different type of the machine shall be worked out at the end of every financial year for the unit cost. Statement shall be approved by the chief engineer and track machine, the of the unit cost for the purpose for the estimation a year that will be calculated, assuming 7% escalation over calculated unit cost per year, and it shows example. Chapter 11, monitoring.